ఇంటర్మీడియట్ విద్యా రంగంలో అగ్రగామి మన ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్. ఐఐటి జేఈఈ అయినా నీట్ అయినా తిరుగులేని విద్యా సంస్థ ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్.
So good morning everybody. So as in the yesterday class we discussed about basic quantities, basic physics. What are the mathematics formulas required to do the physics problems like that. So now we are going to the original topic. Before going to that, two small definitions. So first one is scalar quantity and another one is vector quantity. So just briefly we have to know about these two quantities. So first one is scalar quantity, second one is vector quantity. What is meant by a scalar and what is meant by a vector? Scalar quantity means the physical quantity. Yesterday we discussed about physical quantities, fundamental physical quantity and derived physical quantity. Just like that we have another two, scalar quantity and vector quantities. Scalar quantity means the physical quantity that must have only magnitude. The physical quantity that must have only magnitude. It does not have any direction. That is called a scalar quantity. A physical quantity that must have only magnitude. So what is meant by the magnitude? What is meant by the magnitude? The magnitude is nothing but the numerical value. The magnitude is nothing but numerical value. Any value, that is a scalar quantity. So for example, what are the scalar quantities? Example, mass is the scalar quantity, length is the scalar quantity, time is the scalar quantity, and area is the scalar quantity, and volume is the scalar quantity, and electric current is a scalar quantity. So like this, etc. So again, still work is the scalar quantity, and energy is the scalar quantity, and power is the scalar quantity, etc. So the physical, generally the mass of the body, just we can say the mass of the body is, let us say, 5 kg. That 5 is the magnitude. The 5 is the magnitude. For example, length of an object is 5 meters. Length of an object is 5 meters. That 5 is the magnitude. Any value, numerical value, that is nothing but the magnitude. And for example, time. For example, 1 hour time. That 1 hour, 1 is the magnitude. And for example, area of the square is, let us say, 5 meter square or 10 meter square. That 10 is the magnitude. And volume of the cube is, let us say, 15 meter cube. That 15 is the magnitude. So like this, any physical quantity that have only magnitude, doesn't have any direction, that is called a scalar quantity. So what is meant by the magnitude means? Magnitude means only a particular value, a numerical value. Next, come to the vector quantity. Vector quantity means any physical quantity that must have magnitude, direction, and also obeys laws of vector addition. In vectors chapter we can clearly discuss about this, what is laws of vector addition, like that. So now you can remember this. What is meant by a vector quantity means any physical quantity that must have magnitude, direction, and also obeys laws of vector addition, that is called a vector quantity. So for example, it must have both magnitude direction and also obeys laws of vector addition and also obeys laws of vector addition. So this is called a vector quantity. This quantity must have magnitude, direction and also obeys laws of vector addition. What are the examples of this vector quantity? Velocity, displacement, acceleration and a force, momentum, so torque, angular momentum, etc. So these are the quantities, both have magnitude and also having specific direction. Then only those quantities are called vector quantities. Here one more thing is, let us say here it is speed is also a scalar quantity. Speed is also a scalar quantity. Speed, velocity. Speed is having only magnitude. If the vehicle moving with a speed of 50 kilometers per hour, vehicle is traveling with a speed of 50 kilometers per hour. So that speed is having only magnitude, that is 50. That 50 is the magnitude. If you mention the specific direction, so that is if the vehicle is moving with a speed, for example, if the vehicle is moving with 50 kilometers per hour from east to west, if you specify this particular direction, that becomes a velocity. So velocity means that must have both magnitude and direction and also obeys laws of vector addition. Why we are mentioning these two quantities means, while in the coming chapter we have the terms distance, displacement, speed, velocity, acceleration and like this. That's why we have to know about these two quantities, scalar quantity and vector quantity. Best example, speed and velocity. Speed is scalar, velocity is vector. Remember that. So this is scalar and this is vector. Generally, vector quantity, any vector is represented like this. This is the representation of the vector. So this is the arrowhead indicates the direction. This arrowhead indicates the direction and this point is called tail of the vector, starting point or tail of the vector, and this is called head of the vector. This is tail of the vector and it is head of the vector, and this length indicates the magnitude. This length indicates the magnitude. So in vector chapter we can discuss about these quantities clearly. Just remember these two now. So come to our original topic right now. So that is, the chapter name is motion in a straight line. The first topic is motion in a straight line. So what is straight line? How many types of motions we have? How many dimensions we have? So for example, if the body moving only in one direction, that is called one dimensional motion. For example, we have maximum, our existence is three dimensional. Let us say this is x axis, this is y axis and it is z axis. X axis, y axis, z axis. If the motion of the body is confined to only one direction, motion of the body is confined to only one direction. That means maybe the body moves along x-axis, or if the body moves along y-axis, or if the body moves along z-axis, any one direction only, that is called one dimensional motion or rectilinear motion, or motion in one dimension or motion in a straight line. That is the condition. So, if the motion of the body is confined to one direction only, maybe along x-axis, maybe along y-axis, maybe along z-axis, any one direction. For example, if the motion of the body is in two dimension, that means x-axis and y-axis. For example, this is x and this is y. If the body moves only along x-axis, that is called one dimension. That means if the body moves only along y-axis, that is also one dimension. For example, if the motion of the body is like this, if you draw the graph, if the motion of that means at a time the position of the body changes along x-axis and changes along y-axis, that is called motion in two dimension, or motion in a plane. Motion in two dimension or that means at a time the body having change the position along x-axis, change the position along y-axis, same time. So, best example is, for example, this room corner. If the person starts from this room corner, for example, I am walking like this. At a time, let us say this is x-axis and it is y-axis. This is, for example, this is x-axis and this is y-axis. For example, I am walking like this, that is motion. At a time, my position changes along x-axis as well as changes along y-axis. So, that is motion in a plane. Now, we can discuss about, first of all, motion in a straight line. So, first one, what is meant by rest and what is meant by motion? What is rest and what is motion? We know everybody know about rest and motion. How can you define rest? How can we say that we are at rest? So, to define rest and motion, one reference frame is compulsory. So, that means reference. What is meant by reference? For example, if one person is good and one person is bad, how can you decide this good or bad? With respect to good person, that person is bad. With respect to bad person, this person is good. That means with the compulsory we are comparing. Without comparison, it doesn't matter. That's why in the same way, for example, one person is tall person, one person is short person. How can we say it is short? With respect to tall person only, we can say that this person is short. How can we say that that person is tall? With respect to short person only, that person is tall. So, that means comparison. Without comparison, it is not possible to say it is short and it is long. It is short and tall. It is not possible to say good or bad. So, that is why. So, here also comparison is must. So, that is why this rest and motion are called relative terms. Rest and motion are relative terms. Relative in the sense, so Einstein's special theory of relativity, everything in this universe is almost relative. Relative means depends on another. Rest depends on, without rest we can't define motion, without motion we can't define rest. So, that means just like without tall we can't define short, without short we can't define tall, like that. So, this rest and motion are relative terms. Rest and motion. How can you define rest? For example, I am standing here, I am standing here, my position, I am standing here, I am at rest and I am at rest right now. How can I say I am at rest with respect to ground? So for our convenience, if ground is considered as the reference frame with respect to ground, ground is at rest for us. Ground is at rest for us. But with respect to another planet, Earth also in motion. With respect to another planet, Earth also in motion. But with respect to ground, so for us the ground is at rest. For us the ground is at rest. That is the thing. That is the main thing. So relative terms here, rest and motion. So I am at rest. That means how can I say that? How can I say that I am at rest? My position does not varies with respect to time. If the time increases 1 second, 2 second, 3 second, 4 second, 5 second, continuously time increases, but my position does not changes. Of course the time changes, my position does not changes. That's why I can say that I am at rest. That is rest position. Then how can you define motion? The position of the body changes with respect to time. For example, I am moving. With the time changes, if I am moving from one place to another place, if the time increases in 1 second, my position changes. In 2 seconds, some position changes. In 3 seconds, some more position. So that means if the time increases, my position also changes, then the body is said to be in motion. So that means how can you define rest? Means the position of the body does not changes with respect to time. The position of the body does not changes with respect to time, then we can say that the body is at rest. How can you define motion? The position of the body changes with respect to time. Then the body is said to be in motion. These are the terms rest and motion. Position of the body does not changes with respect to time, and position of the body changes with respect to time. So let us discuss one example for this. Example. Let us say the person standing on platform, the train is moving on the track. So this is the example. For example, the person is standing on the platform and the train is moving on the track. In this situation, which one is at rest and which one is in motion? So that means with respect to platform. So here the reference is platform is the reference because the platform is at rest. That is compulsory. Platform does not in motion. Maybe the person moves, maybe the train moves, but platform does not changes its position. That's why here the person standing on the platform, just he is standing on the platform. That means the position of the person does not changes. That's why the person is said to be at rest. The person is said to be at rest. And the train is moving on the track. So that means the train is moving with respect to time, the position of the train changes. With respect to time, the position of the train changes. That's why we can say that train is in motion. That means with respect to the person, train is in motion. With respect to train, person is at rest. With respect to person, train is in motion, and with respect to train, the person is at rest. So this is the rest and motion. Rest and motion. So rest and motion are relative terms, relative in the sense comparison. Individually rest does not exist, individually motion does not exist. We can't define individual terms. With respect to rest only we can define motion, with respect to motion only we can define rest. So these are the terms rest and motion. Next. So next terms, next two conditions, distance and displacement. So what is meant by distance and displacement? So what is meant by the distance and what is meant by the displacement? So distance is the total path followed by the body from initial position to final position. The total path followed by the body. So let us say the definition is the total path followed by the body from starting position to ending position. Whatever it may be the path, we can't define the direction. We are not considering the direction. From starting point to ending point, what is the total path followed by the body? So that is called the distance, and the distance is scalar quantity. Distance is the scalar quantity. So we can discuss with examples this one, and after defining this displacement also, both are interrelated, let us say. So the total path followed by the body from starting point to ending point, or starting position to ending position, is called the distance, and the distance is a scalar quantity. And what is meant by the displacement? The shortest path between initial and final positions in specified direction. The shortest path between initial and final positions in specified direction, that is called displacement. Specified direction, this is important. Specified direction or in a particular direction, that is called displacement. And here the displacement is vector quantity. The displacement is a vector quantity because we are mentioning the shortest path between initial and final positions in specified direction, in a specified direction. That's why the displacement is a vector quantity. Displacement is a vector quantity, but distance is a scalar quantity. So distance and displacement, these are the definitions. How can you define distance? The total path followed by the body from starting position to ending position, and shortest path between the initial and final positions in specified direction. Shortest path between initial and final positions in a specified direction. So that the displacement is a vector quantity and a distance is a scalar quantity. So both must have magnitude, scalar and vector both must have magnitude, but distance does not have direction, and a displacement must be defined in a specified direction. So this is distance and displacement. Now we can discuss these two with examples. First example, for example, the person moving in a circular path, of radius 5 meters. If the person completes half circle, find distance and displacement. This is the question. If the person moving in a circular path of radius 5 meters, if the person completes half circle, find the distance and the displacement. For example, the person moving in a circular path, let us say it is the circular path. So let us say this is the point A and this is the point B. Let us say the person starts at the point A, moving in a circular path, the person completes half circle. So that means if the person starts at the point A, moving along the circular path and reaches to the point B, now we have to find distance and displacement. What is distance? The total path followed by the body from starting position to ending position. Let us say the starting position is A, ending position is B. The total path followed from point A to B. What is the total path here? Half circle. So total circumference of the circle. Now we have to find out distance. Distance means total path from A to B. So that is half circle. What is the circumference of the half circle? Total circumference of the circle is 2 pi r, but circumference of the half circle is pi r. That is radius is given as 5, that is 5 pi. The distance, here is the distance. Distance means total path followed by the body from starting point to ending point. This is the starting point A and this is the ending point B. So the person travels through the circular path. That's why the person completes half circle. That is the circumference of the half circle is pi r. So or semicircle, half circle or semicircle, whatever it is. So radius is given as 5 meters. That's why it is 5 pi. Distance it is. Now we can calculate displacement here. Displacement. How can we calculate displacement? What is the definition of displacement? Shortest path between initial point and final point. What is the shortest path here? This is the shortest path. Shortest path between initial point and final point. So displacement. Shortest path from here, initial point is A and final point is B. So shortest path from A to B. So here the shortest path from A to B is nothing but the diameter of the circle. So this is the actual path followed by the person. That's why the distance is considered as half circle or semicircle. But displacement is shortest path between initial point and final point in a particular direction. What is that particular direction? A to B. So that is shortest path. That is nothing but displacement. Here the displacement is nothing but diameter of circle. What is the diameter? Is nothing but twice the radius. 2 into radius is 5, that is 10 meters. This is 5 pi meters. This is the way to calculate the distance and the displacement. So here the person is moving in a circular path of radius 5 meters. So circular path followed by the person, semicircle or half circle. In that half circle, the total path, what is the actual path? This is the actual path. That's why the half circle or semicircle, that is considered as the distance. And the displacement, the shortest possible path, the shortest path or the shortest possible path between initial point and final point, that is A to B. This is the shortest possible path. That's why that is diameter of the circle 2r, 2 into 5, that is 10 meters. That is the situation. This is the way to calculate the distance and displacement. Next. Next example. For example, if the person moving towards east, that is 3 meters, and then the person moving towards north 4 meters. If the person moving towards east to a distance of 3 meters, and then he moves towards north through a distance 4 meters. Person moves towards east through a distance 3 meters and moves towards north through 4 meters. Find distance and displacement. Find the distance and the displacement. So this is the situation here. The person is moving towards east through distance 3 meters and then north towards 4 meters. This is, let us say, the directions east, west, north, south. So person moving towards east 3 meters, next towards north 4 meters. Let us say this is the point A and this is the point A, B. Then how can you calculate the distance and the displacement? First we can calculate distance. Distance means, how can you define distance? The total path followed by the body from starting point to ending point, total path. So how the person moves? East and then towards north. East 3 meters, north 4 meters. So total path, distance is nothing but total path, that is equals to 3 plus 4, 7 meters. The total path followed by the body, that the total path followed by the person, that is 3 meters and 4 meters. So total path 3 plus 4 is equals to 7 meters. And the displacement, how can you calculate displacement? So displacement in the sense, the shortest path between initial point and final point, shortest path. So this is A and this is B. This is the shortest path between A and B. What is the direction? A to B. The direction is A to B. So that is displacement. So according to this condition, the displacement is nothing but the hypotenuse. Displacement here, shortest path, that is called displacement. So here the displacement is nothing but the hypotenuse. Hypotenuse, let us say it is C. So from the Pythagoras theorem, what we can do? Pythagoras theorem. What is the Pythagoras theorem? Hypotenuse square equals to adjacent side square plus opposite side square. Shortest path, that is hypotenuse. That is, according to Pythagoras theorem, hypotenuse square is equals to opposite side square plus adjacent side square. opposite side square plus adjacent side square. So here hypotenuse square is equals to, what is opposite? Let us say this is opposite square, 4 square plus adjacent side is square root 3 square. 16 plus 9, that is 25. Therefore hypotenuse is equals to under root 25, that is equals to 5 meters. This is square, applying square root on both sides. Therefore hypotenuse is 5 meters. So that is the displacement in this situation is 5 meters. Distance is total path, that is 7 meters, and the displacement is 5 meters. This is the distance and displacement. This is the way to do the problem. Next. Next example. If the person moving in a circular path, if he completes one circular path, then find the distance and displacement. Find distance and displacement. So the person moving in a circular path, if he completes one circular path, let us say completes one circular path, the person completes one circle like this. Let us say the starting point is A and the ending point is also A. The person starts from the point A and moving along the circumference of the circle and finally reaches to the point A. So starts at the point A, moving along the circumference of the circle and finally reaches to the point A. Finally he also reaches to the point A. So now what is the distance and what is the displacement? So first we can find out distance. So distance is the total path followed. What is the total path followed by the body? Is nothing but the total circular path. So now the distance is circumference of the circle. So the distance is nothing but circumference of the circle, that is 2 pi r. Here the distance travelled by the body is nothing but circumference of the circle, that is equals to 2 pi r. Now what is the displacement in this situation? What is the displacement? So here the distance is total path followed by the body, that is nothing but the complete circle, circumference of the circle, that is 2 pi r. Then displacement means shortest path between initial and final, shortest path. Here what is the initial point? A. Final point is also A. That means the body starts from the point A and finally reaches to the point A. Then what is the shortest path between A and A? Nothing. That is, the displacement is 0 here. This is the closed path. Starting point and ending point must be same, that is called a closed path. So here the particle, or if the body, or here we are considering the person. So the person starts from the point A, moving along the circumference of the circle and finally reaches to the point A. So this is the closed path. So the total path followed is nothing but circumference of the circle, that's why 2 pi r, no doubt about that. But the shortest path between starting and ending point, what is the starting point? A. What is the ending point? A only. Here the starting point and ending point is same, that's why it is the closed path. So in any closed path, the displacement of the body must be 0. It's a very, very important point you have to remember. So in any closed path, the displacement of the body must be 0. This is a very important point you have to remember. In any closed path, the displacement of the body must be equal to 0. So here in a circular path, the distance travelled by the body is 2 pi r, the displacement of the body is 0. So this is a very important point we have to remember. So next, in any closed path, let us say the particle, if the body starts at this position, moves like this and moves like this and finally reaches to this position. This is also the closed path because the starting point and ending point must be same. If the starting point and ending point must be same, that must be a closed path. For any closed path, the displacement of the body must be equal to 0. Here what is the distance? A, let us say it is a square. Distance, total path. So that is A, 2A, 3A, 4A. What is the total path followed by the body? From this position to this position, that is A, and it is A, and it is also A, and it is also A. Total path is 4A. And what is the displacement? Displacement is equals to 0. Displacement equals to 0 because it is the closed path. So what is meant by a closed path means if the starting point and ending point must be same, that is said to be a closed path. So in any closed path, the displacement must be equal to 0.